What's going on, everyone? So, with the Spurs looking to kind of finish and round out the rest of the roster, you kind of look at the roster. It's like, okay, what do they need? I think they could use probably another big man, right? Just to kind of have that third big, maybe even a guy that can, because Wemby's ability to shoot the basketball, spread the floor. He wants to shoot, 8 threes a game. It'd be kind of nice to have, centers that he could slot alongside. Not saying you don't play Wemby at the five. Probably even starts at the five, but you can kind of have different looks, right? Go Luke Cornett and, Victor Wembanyama. And then if you go get another backup center, right, you can go with him and then Victor Wembanyama. I've even talked about maybe like an Al Horford, where Al Horford can slot in at the 4 and the 5. So you kind of have that versatility. You can go two bigs whenever you need to, especially in a league that really kind of seems to be having a big man renaissance, right? So it kind of would be nice to have kind of multiple bigs that you could deploy at any point. And with Wemby's abilities, right, his capability of slotting alongside pretty much anybody kind of gives you the different looks. But outside of maybe another center, I really do think that you still need help out on the perimeter, right? You have multiple guys that can slot in really either for, like Harrison Barnes, for example, can slot in at the 3, can slot in at the 4. Same thing with like a Carter Bryant, can slot in at the 3, slot in at the 4. You do have Jeremy Sohan, but how much can you really play him on the floor if he doesn't improve his shooting, right? It becomes a liability, especially when De'Aaron Fox isn't a great shooter. Wemby can be kind of streaky. Stephon Castle, we'll see what he is. Dylan Harper wasn't a great three-point shooter in college. Right? Like, you just kind of look around. It's like, man, you could really use some three-point shooting too. But it just, if you can kind of get the 3 and D type, right? I think it would be great if you could go get kind of that like 6'7" guy that can kind of slot in 2 through 4 for you at times, right? So if you want to kind of go a little bigger out on the perimeter, you could do so. Kind of have a guy that can slot in at the 3 and the 4 for you. Kind of just, again, give different looks, different kind of, lineup potentials out there. And one guy that I really like the idea of for the Spurs would be Amir Coffey, right? Talking about a guy, he's still 28 years old. Just turned 28, by the way. So he's still young enough to be a piece for the foreseeable future. He's a guy that just really embraces the dirty work, right? He's a guy that does the dirty work, dive for loose balls, chase down loose balls, can rebound, do all those things, defend 1 through 4 on many occasions, right? He's a guy that has just really good intangibles that you want to see for a team, and kind of one of those guys that's just, it's a guy that is nice to have in your rotation, a real 3 and D style player, who is still on the free agent market, right? You look at last year, he averaged basically 10 points, 2 rebounds, and an assist on 47% shooting, but a guy that can also shoot the 3 ball, spread the floor, just do multiple things out there. He's 6'7", right? So he's got the length and size, and like I was talking about, kind of slotted in that 2 through kind of 4 range whenever you need. So you could have something out there, especially with Carter Bryant being a rookie. And Spurs kind of like to wean the rookies in. They don't like to really just kind of throw them all out there at once. Now, you do have Julian Champagnie who can slide in at the 3 or the 4 as well. But again, you can't have an abundance of 3 and D guys, right? It's just a good thing to have. So kind of look at the situation here, and it's like, okay, well, you could kind of roll out, if you wanted to, kind of, like a De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle, Amir Coffey, maybe like a Harrison Barnes, and then a Victor Wembanyama. So you have kind of the 2 wings that can be their floor spacers, be switchable, defend out on the perimeter, right? Your 2 point of attack guards that get some size for guard position and can defend multiple positions, do all that stuff. Right now, you're just much more versatile, much more switchable defensively, which in the modern NBA, it's like switch everything, pace and space, right? Shoot a bunch of threes, right? That's kind of where we're at. Well, now the Spurs are just much more equipped. And then you have like Dylan Harper off the bench, and, you have Carter Bryant who can slot in at the 4, or Jeremy Sohan who could slot at the 4, Bryant at the 3. And then, you have a Julian Champagnie who can slot in and fill in multiple roles and stuff like that. Devin Vassell, right? So you kind of have on the bench something like a Harper, maybe Vassell, or do they bring Castle off the bench? So let's say, probably what ends up happening. So let's say Vassell, Castle, right? Carter Bryant, Jeremy Sohan, and then a Luke Cornett. Right? And then you also have Julian Champagnie. So now you're legit like 11 deep team. And Amir Coffey, or you can even, if you wanted to, start, Jeremy Sohan or something. I worry about the shooting. But, however, you can do the different lineups and maybe bring Amir Coffey off the bench. However you want to structure it, however you want to go about it, it's fine. But kind of look at the situation that you get with a again, an Amir Coffey and what he kind of brings and can provide to a team like the San Antonio Spurs. And you're talking about, again, a legit 2-way player. He's a guy that for his career is a 38% three-point shooter on 2.5 attempts. Last year shot 41% on 3.4 attempts. Previous year before that shot 38% on just under 3 attempts. So he's a guy that is reliable at knocking down the three ball, understands his role, come in, play his role nicely, just give you that production that you're looking for, give you that scrapper, that hustle guy, right? Amir Coffey, that's what he was good at with the Clippers, a guy that can just get after it. He's a guy that's been on one team his whole career. It's actually a little surprising the Clippers are letting him go because he is a guy that just did a lot of kind of the dirty work that the Clippers needed on that roster. But it's kind of one of those things like your losses are gain type thing. And now he could be a guy on the Spurs that's doing the dirty work, making the hustle plays, kind of being a quality rotation piece for a team that's going to need it, right? And he's a little more experienced, a little more seasoned, veteran guy. So I just think that there's advantages there even in that regard for a team like the Spurs. But again, what does he provide? What can he bring? Well, you look at last season, 72 games played, 13 games started, a 24.3 minutes per game, which was the most of his career, by the way. 7.1 attempts from the field, which is the most of his career. Shot 47.1% from the field total. Shot 41% from three-point range on 3.4 attempts, which was the most of his career. He shot 52.9%, so basically 53% on just under 4 attempts from 2-point range, EFG of 57%, shot 89% from the free throw line on just under 2 attempts per game, grabbed 2.2 rebounds, 1 assist, a steal, half a block, and just under 10 points per game. And again, like you think about what you need alongside a De'Aaron Fox, right? And even a Victor Wembanyama, floor spacing, shooting, 3-and-D guys, right? De'Aaron Fox, clear out, boom, he can penetrate, operate in the mid-range. That's his office, right? That's where he likes to go to work, create that dribble penetration, shoot over the top, little floaters, get to the rim, finish around the rim. And if not, easy kick out to shooters. And Amir Coffey is one of those guys that could really kind of fill in and play that role and fill that void for a team that could use it, right? Just gives you a quality 3-and-D shooter that can come in, slot in, and play that role. But I also want to go over his per 36. Per 36 doesn't tell you everything, but it kind of gives you an idea of like, okay, what would he look like in a full starter role where he's getting, 35 minutes a night or whatever? What could that provide? Well, he would have been 14 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and half a block per game if he was a per 36 type of player. So again, 6'7", 210 pounds, right? Versatile, switchable, kind of 2 through 4 type of player. Ideally, I'd like to keep him in that like 2 to 3 range, right? He's a guy that I kind of want to keep in that area. I wouldn't want to necessarily go and play him at the 4 much, especially when you have a bunch of, 6'8", 6'9", forwards that can play that spot. You could even slot Wemby in, like I mentioned, at the 4 at times. So just kind of look at it that way better. But he's a guy that can bring a lot to this team, I think, in my opinion. Get him for free. I don't think you're going to pay much to go and acquire him. Bring him in on a vet minimum, maybe like a type prove it deal, where maybe you're re-signing him to more money later on down the road, or he can go elsewhere and go do something like that, and just again kind of gives you a year, or again if you can sign him a longer term deal, sign him a longer term deal, but gives you a guy that could just be that scrapper out there on the basketball court that can do the dirty works. Because again, you look at like the thing that makes Stephon Castle great is he does the dirty work, right? But like, who else is really, outside of Jeremy Sohan, who else is really doing the dirty work, right? Like, Devin Vassell isn't a great dirty work player. De'Aaron Fox isn't a great dirty work player. Victor Wembanyama isn't a great dirty work player, right? Like, Dylan Harper's probably not going to be a great dirty work player. Get a guy like Coffey, I think he'd be your dirty work guy. But let me know your thoughts at the opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Else not, so we enjoy these types of videos. Truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.